Well, the neighborhood I live in is wonderful. It's the neighborhood I grew up in. It's the neighborhood that I decided to raise my family in. It's a neighborhood full of hardworking people.
It's a small town, you know, pretty small school district. Everybody kind of knows each other.
So we were a little bit nervous. We were battening down the hatches, so to speak.
You know, the year before we had Hurricane Irene and they made like this big hype about it.
You hear that that is the storm of all storms, so the next time as Sandy comes in, we hear this is the storm of all storms. This is going to be the one that's going to mess everyone up.
I think there was a little bit of excitement about it too, because again, when you live on the water, you know, it's kind of, we all sit and sort of watch this thing happen. But I think we took minor precautions. We had no idea what we were in for.
I had a 5-month-old at the time. We realized that night we didn't leave until the morning of the storm that we had to go. Our street had already started to flood in.
We had decided early on that we were going to stay. But as the day went on, we started to see that it was a totally different animal than we had ever seen before.
I'm seeing the water coming up onto the lawn. We haven't reached high tide yet.
We started seeing other people's things coming into our yard and just watching it rise.
You know, like in the back of your head, you keep thinking like, all right, like it's gonna flood a little bit. It's gonna come up maybe to the steps.
The water just kept rising and rising.
The sound that the wood floors were making when the water was coming up through them was probably one of the most sickening sounds I've ever heard.
The kids were sleeping upstairs. I have no idea how they did not wake up because, I mean, we were like screaming at each other. It was pitch black because there was no electricity. He was lifting chairs on his back and like running up the stairs with them. I was rolling up rugs. We were just like tossing things up the stairs.
I was kind of paralyzed for a little bit, so, you know, Dave just basically said, go sit in the bedroom. I'll take care of what I can take care of. He put the dog up on the bed with me, you know, as the water started coming up.
It was just hard, not able to do anything because nature's so powerful and we were just like a sand just being washed away.
The water was still rising in the house when we went to bed. So when I woke up in the morning, my first thought was, well, I woke up in the morning and I'm not wet, so that's a plus.
But it just looked like a war zone. I mean, there was, you know, trees down everywhere.
There was like a tennis court, and there was a really big fence, and there was a boat in it. We saw a picture. It was a boat in the tennis court.
When I went downstairs, my mom said, don't go downstairs because I'm like, there's all this dirt down there. Some seaweed, some dirty stuff down there.
Once we got up the next day and saw what had happened to some of our neighbors' homes, some of them were burned to the ground. Others had the entire backs ripped off into the bay. We realized at that point how lucky we actually were.
I didn't realize what was about to happen within the next couple of days. I was kind of pleased that it didn't look as bad as I thought it was going to, until I then realized, speaking with neighbors and realizing what happens when your home floods, is that you then have to gut the entire house. It really hit me hard because I basically helped rip apart a home that we built for our family at a time when, you know, we were bringing a new family member.
I would have to say the last 6 months have probably been an extended version of that night. Trying to take care of paperwork, trying to navigate through, you know, the FEMA and insurance.
It's another storm on top of the storm and on top of everything. It's just, there's no end.
There are moments where, you know, I have some breakdowns. Like I mentioned, I have a 5-year-old and an almost 1-year-old, so it's been a pretty hectic year, bittersweet. We really try to focus on the kids and make sure that they're happy and we know they're healthy, so just, you know, chugging along every day.
The topic of summer camp came up about 2 months ago.
Your children, when school's not in session, need somewhere to go. The YMCA graciously, year in and year out, offered discounted scholarships for my children to be able to go to camp.
Charles really enjoys the facilities at the Y. He's been coming here since he was 6 months old to learn how to swim. He meets new friends, he has fun, he's sweaty and exhausted at the end of the day, and to think that he wouldn't have that outlet for all the energy I know he has as a 5-year-old boy was very upsetting. So when I did hear that this program was available to help allow families who have been, affected by Sandy, it really was something I was hoping would be available for us.
They had said, well, if we can do one session, would that be helpful? Because the funds are limited. There are other families that are applying that are in similar situations. And I said, really, at this point, like anything really would be super helpful. So when I got the letter and it said 100% coverage for both of the kids for 2 sessions, I just cried. I thought, oh my God, somebody's listening to me.
When I got home, it was really to see her face and how relieved she was, and she was just she was crying, and I'm happy, just excited at the same time for them to go.
I am excited to go to the YMCA summer camp because they have all these activities and stuff. You could do things on there, and it's really fun to do.
I'm excited this much to go back to camp.
What are you going to do at summer camp? You're going to play a lot?
Yes.
And you're going to go swimming?
Yes.
Yeah.
This has been a huge weight lifted off of my husband and my shoulders, knowing that our son will have a place to go and be safe and have fun and, really just be a little kid, a little boy. And we're extremely grateful for the opportunity they've given us to send him and have that for him.
This is one of the few organizations that has actually listened to our story and didn't focus more on, well, are you going to be able to pay us back? Or, what is it that you still have that we can use as, an asset to gauge, whether or not you qualify for this? It simply was, we think that you need this, and here you go. And we are so grateful for that. So thank you.